What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Wednesday Night Live. Thank you for tuning in from wherever you are. So standing just outside the hallowed ground that is Carver Hawkeye Arena in Iowa City, there's a bronze statue that depicts a man of deep passion doing the thing he was probably most passionate about and better at than anyone else in the world. Dan Gable is the most decorated wrestler in the history of the sport. He never lost a match in his high school career, lost only once in his college career, and won an Olympic gold medal without surrendering so much as a single point. And then he went on to win 15 national championships in 21 years as the head coach at the University of Iowa. But there's something unique about his statue, something that sets it apart from the many other heroes and great men who've been cast in bronze all over the world. And it's not immediately apparent. Like if you went to Carver Hawkeye Arena and you saw it, you'd find Dan Gable doing this. And for those that don't know any better, it seems like he's pumping his fist and celebrating a victory. Almost looks like he's fired up about another national championship, another time his Hawkeyes conquered the world. And for the uninitiated, that would make a lot of sense, but that's not actually what Dan Gable is doing. The statue of Dan Gable outside Carver Hawkeye Arena is actually an image of Gable complaining to a referee, which seems like a really weird choice for a statue, but only if you lack context. Like for those of you who didn't grow up in Iowa, a state where wrestling is as much a part of the local identity and social fabric as corn, like this might not mean anything to you. But for those of us who did, it clearly communicates one thing: stalling. And it sums up Gable perfectly. Why? Because for Dan Gable, there was nothing worse in the world than for one of his wrestlers to be caught stalling. He just refused to tolerate any wrestler who'd walk out onto the mat and then back away from the fight. Attempt to escape rather than attack. Attempt to waste the clock rather than use it. It just violated everything the sport was about, and Gable so loathed it that he once screamed in the ear of a referee until stalling got called on his own wrestler. And they made a statue out of that moment, out of Dan Gable getting his own wrestler penalized. And they did it because for Dan Gable, shying away from the fight was a greater sin than losing it. You guys, we're living right now through one of the most trying and difficult seasons most of us can ever remember. And if you're anything like me, there's a temptation to do some stalling, to shy away from the fight that's in front of us, for our future and the future of all the people around us, to just sit back and wait for everything to change and be normal again. To kind of wallow in self-pity and just stall until the conditions feel like they're perfect, until we think we can go out and make a difference again. And listen, we're not alone in that. There are a number of times when the prophet Jeremiah felt like stalling. A number of times when he was so beaten down and so frustrated, he just wanted to quit. Just back away and waste the clock of his life and just cautiously avoid confrontation. And what we're going to do, like for Wednesday Night Live, for the next few weeks anyway, is just spend some time looking at the difference Jeremiah made. The way Jeremiah proclaimed the love and the good news of God in the middle of his own difficult, unwanted season, in the middle of all the temptations in his life to just stall. Because I think his situation relates to ours in a number of ways. It was hard. But in the midst of that difficulty, the thing the world needed most was to hear about who God is and how God loves. And that's what our world needs most too. But too many of us have been stalling and telling the people around us because we're tired and we're beaten down and we're worried about the cost of being bold, and we just don't know what to do in this season. And Jeremiah was right there. He kind of pours out his heart about that in chapter 20, verses 7 through 9. He's praying and he's angry at God. He's angry about the situation he's in. He says, "You deceived me, Lord. I was deceived. You overpowered me and you prevailed. I'm ridiculed all day long. Everyone mocks me. Whenever I speak, I cry out proclaiming violence and destruction. So the word of the Lord has brought me insult and reproach all day long. But if I say, I will not mention his word or speak anymore his name. If I say that, it's like a fire burning inside me." I love this last half sentence there. This is this vulnerable moment as we get a glimpse into Jeremiah's heart. He's like so afraid of the world and the people around him. that he wants to quit preaching God's message. And he admits he's tried quitting. He's like, if I say I'm not going to speak it anymore, if I try and hold it inside, that's what I want to do. Can you identify with that? Like, can you relate to that fear and that anxiety, to that frustration with the results of the message, to just like, okay, God, I quit. I'm just not doing it. I feel like I'm mocked or I'm ridiculed for speaking up. Have you ever tried to keep the message of the gospel, like the truth that you know about God and who he is and what he's done for you, inside because you're just too timid to share it? Have you ever stalled on telling someone else about Jesus or inviting them to church or inviting them to watch online because you were just afraid of ridicule or mocking if you did? Let's all be honest with ourselves for a moment and answer yes to every one of those questions. We've done it. We've failed, we've backed off, we've been timid, we've stalled in inviting our friends and just sharing a link with them. But I love how verse 9 ends. He says, if I say I'm not going to do it, when I say I'm going to hold it in, his word is like a fire in my heart, a fire shut up in my bones. I'm weary of holding it in. Indeed, I cannot. My prayer is that would be true in my life and in yours as well. That God's love and God's grace and God's word would burn so powerfully in our souls that we just can't contain it. That it would burst forth out of us no matter what the cost. That we'd boldly share it with a world that desperately needs to hear it. Maybe now more than ever. Our world is dying without it, without the beauty and the good news of the gospel. You guys, make no mistake, we have a fight on our hands. And it's not going to be any easier for us than it was for Jeremiah. There are people all around us who are trapped in darkness, who are crushed by fear, who are headed toward death and destruction, living lives that are broken and hopeless, and they don't know what to do in this season, and the thing they need most is the message we have. Eternity is on the line, nothing less. And the question that faces all of us is, will we be bold? Will we be Christians in the mold of Dan Gable's wrestlers? Fierce, uncompromising, unafraid, unrelenting warriors. And even though it looks different than it looked 5 months ago to tell people about Jesus, to invite them into church, to speak truth and grace and God's love in their lives, even though we don't know exactly how to do it, like, are we going to be intimidated by that in this unwanted season? Are we going to wait, or are we going to decide to be bold? We have the option to become stallers. But my prayer for us is that alongside Dan Gable, we would decide that stalling is a greater sin even than losing. Because even if things don't always go the way we wish they did, our call is simply to be faithful and to passionately bring the message, to step out into the fight and bring the good news and the light that our world is desperate for. And we can do that confidently. Because as Jeremiah reminds us in verse 11 of this chapter, the Lord is with us like a mighty warrior. So let's stop stalling and share his love with the world.